Ever get the feeling we're only scratching the surface of what's possible? Like we talk about learning Latin to understand the ancient world. But what about the future?
Future in the past. Wow.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting. Today, we're diving into the world of náhuatl.
Out of all the ancient languages out there, why náhuatl?
Because, and buckle up for this, there's a company out there, Stork Inc., and they're weaving náhuatl into video games. And AI. Seriously.
Hold on. Náhuatl, the language of the Aztecs. I always thought it was basically extinct.
Well, that's where things get even wilder. Turns out, millions of people speak náhuatl. Millions. It's a living language. But Stork Inc., they're not just teaching it, they're...
Well, it's almost like they're trying to build a bridge between the ancient world and the digital one.
Okay, now I'm hooked. How do they even start to do that? From what I've gathered, Stork Inc. gets that language isn't just about, words on a page. It's a reflection of a whole culture, how people think.
Right, like the DNA of a culture.
Exactly. And they're focusing on this really unique dialect of náhuatl, the Huasteca dialect. Apparently, it's got these incredibly complex structures and sounds that, instead of just learning basic náhuatl, they're going for this deep, deep dive.
A deep dive. I like the sound of that. So what makes this Huasteca dialect so special? What sets it apart?
Well, think of it this way. You could listen to, a generic pop song. It's catchy, but it doesn't really stick with you. But then you've got your regional folk music. This stuff's full of soul, history, nuance.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
The Huasteca dialect. It's like that folk music. It's the real deal. It reveals these hidden depths in how the language works, and by extension, how the people who speak it think.
Fascinating. So they're digging into the mechanics of how the language itself shapes thought. But how do you translate that into, a digital experience?
Well, this is where it gets really wild. Stork Inc. is building something they call the Mitotlverse. And get this, it's a video game. But not just any video game. This one's steeped in Mesoamerican mythology.
Hold on, mythology. Are we talking like ancient gods and monsters and stuff?
You got it. But here's the thing. They're not just window dressing. Stork Inc. is actually trying to incorporate the very grammar of náhuatl into how the game works.
Wait, grammar in a video game? Like we're going to be identifying verbs and nouns to defeat the final boss?
It's more like, imagine playing a game, and the way you interact with the world, the challenges you face, it all subtly reflects the logic of náhuatl. You're not just learning words. You're internalizing a whole new way of thinking.
Whoa, that's next level game design. But, gamers, we can be a tough crowd to please.
Yeah.
What's the hook here? What's going to make someone want to jump into this Mitotlverse?
That's the genius part, Stork Inc. Totally gets it. They're not just throwing grammar lessons at you. This Mitotlverse, it's about exploration. It's about stories. It's about experiencing a world unlike anything you've ever seen before.
A world built on an ancient language. This just keeps getting more intriguing. Tell me more about this Mitotlverse. Like, what kind of mythical figures are we talking about here? Give me the details.
All right, so picture this. You're exploring this vibrant, living world, right? And your guide through all of it, none other than Ehécatl.
Ehécatl. Ringing a bell, but refresh my memory. Who is he again?
Only one of the most powerful deities in Nahuatl mythology. God of the wind, of knowledge, even creation itself.
Okay, now we're talking. A god of creation leading you through a digital world. There's got to be a deeper connection there, right?
See, I told you it would get good. Ehécatl, guiding us through a digital world. Feels like more than just a cool character choice, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's actually brilliant when you think about it. In Nahuatl mythology, Ehécatl, he breathes life into the world.
And Stork Inc. is kind of doing the same thing, but with the Nahuatl language itself, it's like poetic almost.
Right, bringing it back to life in this digital space. But let's be real, not everyone's going to be as into this as we are. Some people might think, ancient gods, dead languages, sounds kind of boring.
Okay, fair point. You need that hook, that thing that grabs anyone's attention. But that's what's so cool about what Stork Inc. is doing. They get that. It's all about the stories.
Stories. You mean like the myths and legends?
And the music. They're weaving it all into the Mitotlverse. Imagine you're exploring this world and you hear these ancient stories coming to life around you.
And the music, they're using traditional instruments and everything.
Yeah, it's incredible. And they've even got this whole soundtrack game thing going on.
Soundtrack game. Now you're really talking my language, like Guitar Hero, but with ancient flutes.
Exactly. But here's the twist. As you play, you're not just racking up points. You unlock pieces of the language, like the meanings behind the songs, insights into the culture. It's crazy.
So it's like the music is the key, literally, to unlocking these deeper levels of the experience. I love it. They're not forcing the educational aspect. It's all about discovery.
It's sneaky learning at its finest. But you mentioned earlier that Stork Inc. was really emphasizing the interactive experience. What did you mean by that?
Okay, so imagine this. You're wandering through this bustling marketplace in the Mitotlverse. You can hear Nahuatl being spoken all around you. And get this, every time someone says something, the words pop up on the screen, but
Don't leave me hanging.
they're written in the traditional Nahuatl glyphs. And let's say you want to buy something. Maybe you whip out your in-game phrase book. It's all in the glyphs, too. It's about making the language feel real, tangible, something you can see, hear, and ultimately start to understand.
Man, that's brilliant. It's like a digital Rosetta Stone, but instead of just deciphering ancient text,
Yeah.
you're living it. Makes you wonder, could this be the future of language learning? I mean, we're facing a crisis, right? So many languages on the brink of disappearing. Could something like this help save them?
It's a huge question, and honestly, one I've been grappling with for years. There's no easy answer, no magic bullet. What Stork Inc. is doing, it's incredible. But it's important to remember that each language, each culture, they're all unique. What works for Nahuatl might not work for every other endangered language out there.
Right, it's not as simple as just like copying and pasting the technology.
Exactly. But what Stork Inc. does so brilliantly is highlight the power of engagement. It's about making learning feel exciting. They've found a way to make an ancient language feel modern, even cool.
It's like they're saying, hey, this isn't your grandfather's language class.
Yeah.
And speaking of pushing boundaries, we haven't even touched on the AI aspect of all this. What's the connection there?
So Stork Inc., they've got this vision of a future where AI can understand and interact with us in Nahuatl, not just in a basic pre-programmed way, but with a real grasp of the nuances, the subtleties of the language. Imagine having a conversation with an AI in Nahuatl, or using AI to translate ancient texts in real time. It's mind-blowing.
That gives me chills.
Mm-hmm.
But it also makes you think.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about using technology to, in a way, speak for a culture that's been around for centuries. Feels like a lot of responsibility.
It is a huge responsibility, and it's something we need to approach with a lot of care and thoughtfulness. As we venture further into the digital world, we can't forget the cultures, the languages, the people that came before us. And that's the beauty of what Stork Inc. is doing. It's not just about preserving the past, it's about bringing it forward into the future.
And inviting everyone to be a part of it. It's amazing to think that a language as old as Nahuatl could have such a profound impact on our digital future.
It just goes to show language has this incredible power to connect us across cultures, across time, even across the digital divide. If we can harness that power, who knows what we can achieve.
It's a good reminder that there's always more to learn, more to explore. So next time you encounter something unfamiliar, something outside your comfort zone, lean in. You never know what you might discover. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep that spirit of curiosity alive.